Alright, so here, instead of kind of a retro review for any Pokemon game, I thought what would be best is to do a franchise review for Pokemon as a whole. This way, if you're looking for any old Pokemon games you might want to get into to see what all the craze is about, or you just want to make sure there's no Pokemon games you missed, then, you can kind of get it here. And like I said, this is a franchise review, so we're not really going to grade any of the games so much as mention which ones were good and which ones I think should be played. Now, first off, we're starting with our main series Pokemon games. These ones only came out for the handhelds, and they all featured a system where you collect badges and then fought an Elite Four/champion at the end. The only one that kind of broke out of this cycle is Sun and Moon, but yeah, I'm calling BS. It's same garbage, different game. Now, out of the main series Pokemon, if you want to, go back or go way back, I would suggest doing the yellow version and the crystal versions. I feel like they're better than their counterparts. In yellow version, you were able to get all the starter Pokemon, which was, freaking amazing back in the day. And it also was, it wasn't for Game Boy Color, but I think it actually had some color to it, I want to say. There was, everything was maybe yellow tinted or something weird like that. And then crystal version, kind of same thing. It just went on what the gold and silver had, but extra, including just giving you Suicune. Moving on to the Game Boy Advance, you've got the Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and of course, I'm going to suggest, you playing Emerald. Because pretty much same reason, and Rayquaza was amazing. There's also, for the Game Boy Advance, the Fire Red, Leaf Green. Those are both excellent remakes of the original ones. I would say if you're not going to do yellow version and you kind of want to, get replay of those old Game Boy ones, go for the Fire Red, Leaf Green, because that's pretty much what that is. Moving on after that was Diamond and Pearl. They were my least favorite Pokemon, but the 4th gen is pretty much the gen I hated the most, and Diamond and Pearl did not help with that. Platinum was kind of fun. It had some interesting stuff. So if you have to go for anyone there, I would suggest going Platinum. And then also for the DS, we get the remakes of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which was freaking amazing. Heart Gold, to this day, best Pokemon game ever. They took everything you could love about the franchise, put it in there, and then added some more. You can have your Pokemon walking out with you, and you could even put these little stickers on your Pokeballs, which would change the kind of CG that would show up as your Pokemon comes out of its Pokeball. Just Heart Gold and Soul Silver were freaking amazing. And then we've got our 5th generation with Black and White. And I actually, whenever Black and White first came out, I loved them. I loved the concept of not being able to catch any of the older Pokemon and only having these new Pokemon to play against. I think that was an excellent idea, and I'm really sad to not see it in any other games ever. After that, of course, we got Black 2 and White 2, which are continuation. I think they take place either a year or 2 years after the end of Black and White. And they are my second favorite out of the main series, because they added a lot more new stuff in here. And then they also had this kind of medal system, which I really loved, because it gave me more stuff to do within the game, because I'm a trophy hunter myself in the the PlayStation world. So whenever they had this on Pokemon, I was all about it. And then we got Pokemon X and Y, and while it introduced a few new concepts, and being able to change your character was freaking awesome, but I don't know, X and Y never got me as much as Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or even Black 2, White 2. However, I do think that one thing that really surprised me was 6th Gen had lots of really good Pokemon designs. I was pleasantly surprised. Then there's Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which are, some of my least favorite of the series. I mean, playing through it, I almost felt that there was no difference between playing Ruby and Sapphire. Like, I could not get into them. Did not care. And then there was, of course, Sun and Moon. And I tried to prepare myself for it like it was a brand new game, like it was back in the day whenever we were playing Gold and Silver or Ruby and Sapphire, and had like for the most part no way of knowing what we were getting into. Like I completely left myself out of the news for Pokemon. Didn't learn anything about the new Pokemon coming out, and then just went into it fresh. And still I couldn't even. I think I made it past all the islands, and like that was about it. I couldn't get into any of it. So I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's nothing I even remotely cared for. So who knows? Maybe the Pokemon franchise is dead. But anyways, let's talk about some of the other franchise games that were really excellent. Alright, so Pokemon's had some fairly obscure games, and most of them actually weren't done by Game Freak, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure that they had something to do with the production of these games, but a lot of them were done by other developers. And some of them, they're all pretty hit and miss, of course, because they're not done by Game Freak and they're done by the other people. Staying on handhelds, we have Pokemon the Trading Card Game, which came out on the handhelds, the earlier handhelds, and I mean, what else can be said other than, this is the trading card game. It might be a little bit more fun than playing the actual trading card game, because this is more left random number generator than your own personal luck. Or at least I feel that way. I always get screwed on the card game. Another really good one that they did that really surprised me about how good it was the Pokemon pinball games. Pokemon pinball games were excellent. They're a lot of fun, and I think they're just perfect for handhelds where, you're playing on the go and you don't really have much time in between anything to kind of play with. Another thing they tried to get into was kind of the adventure puzzle games. They had a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, I think is what they're called. Pretty sure they're called Mystery Dungeon. I played a few of these, but none of them really got to me. I mean, it's not Pokemon is the problem, really. And I mean, hey, if you really like using the stylus, then there's the Pokemon Ranger game. There's just a point in the DS's life cycle where everyone was trying to make these games where you were forced to use the stylus. Another reason why I didn't like the Diamond and Pearl is because they kind of try to do this as well. Another game that was following the RPG style, but not quite of the Pokemon world, but with Pokemon, was called Pokemon Conquest. Now, I never played this, but I always wanted to play this because I love RPGs and it looked really good to me. But like I said, I haven't played it, so I can't really speak on its behalf. Now, moving on from our handheld gen from Nintendo, we got a few games on the main consoles. One of the big ones for main consoles was Pokemon Stadium. Now, these were awesome. While they themselves didn't really play so much, they offered you a chance to play the Game Boy games on your TV if you didn't have a Nintendo and the Super Game Boy. But where these really shined was getting to see your Pokemon in these 3D models battling it out. It looked amazing playing Pokemon Stadium, especially if all you had before to play with was the Game Boy games. Now, another one out on this main console, which was the N64 at that time, was Pokemon Snap. And I feel like there's a lot of hype around Pokemon Snap, like even to this day. But at the same time, it wasn't really that great of a game. And I'm not saying like the concept wasn't good. Like playing it's super fun. There's not a whole lot, and once you beat it, there's really no reason to go through and just keep taking pictures of the Pokemon. Which I feel is why there's a lot of hype for this game, because I think, everyone feels like I do, that if they did go back and, make this with the 700, 800 freaking Pokemon they have now, it would just be amazing. There could be hours of gameplay. It'd be super fun. But, we'll see. Nintendo hasn't known what good is for a very, very long time, unfortunately. Now, moving on to the GameCube, we had a few games. On the GameCube, we had Pokemon Colosseum and Gale of Darkness. Now, I never got to play either of these because I kind of missed out on the GameCube. I mean, if that's what you really want to call it, is missing out. I had PS2, so I never got to play either of these because I didn't have the GameCube. But from my friend who did have the GameCube, he said that these games were really good. I can't give my own personal opinion, but I hear they actually had their own storyline within them that you can play through, so it sounded really cool to me. Now, we didn't really see a whole lot of Pokemon games. It had Battle Revolution, which was your, basic Pokemon Stadium style game. But it's odd that there weren't more Pokemon games on this. Mostly because Wii was such a big seller for Nintendo. And Pokemon being their second largest franchise, you would have thought there'd be a lot more, hits on this. However, I guess they were just too busy with the handheld side, seeing as the DS was at this time. And then finally, with the release of the Wii U, we saw a lot of the virtual consoles kind of coming over onto here, so you could play some of the older games, but, Wii U, pretty much no Pokemon game. The only one I can really think of was Pokemon Rumble U, which Pokemon Rumble on the handhelds, they were actually pretty fun games. Like, they're not quite Pokemon, but they do good in their own respect. They feature these little toy-looking Pokemon, and you battle with those, and, it's pretty nifty. But Pokemon Rumble U on the Wii U is absolute garbage. You basically fight with little toy figures in a square against other toy figures, and you can't change anything. Just stuck with what they give you, fighting in a square against other little figures. No fun at all. So, now that we talked about, Pokemon games on the handheld and the, big consoles in respect, now we can start talking about other stuff like mobile phone or even your computer. Now, no real games came out on the computer, but through emulators you can play all the old Pokemon game. Even though I know that's not a very popular subject to talk about. But one of the best things with this is that, people went and broke open the game and made it their own. There's lots of ROM hacks, which, are pretty hit and miss of themselves. A lot of them are, still in betas or glitchy or whatever, but, some of these are really excellent games. Some of them are better than pretty much anything Game Freak has even come up with. And if you're looking for a new Pokemon game to play, I would actually suggest going for the ROM hacks. You'll probably find one you like, and quite a few of them even have Fakemon, so it can feel like a whole new experience to you. Even though the Fakemon are more of the hit and miss than anything. Another thing I thought to kind of mention for the computer is that they do have the Pokemon trading card game online. Like, the actual online game you can download from the Pokemon's website for free. Install it on your desktop, load it up, and you can play Pokemon cards of anyone around the world. The only real problem with this is you don't really get to use your own cards. You're pretty much forced into buying these digital versions of the cards to play against other people. So it can get kind of, poop after a while. But it's, it's got some good qualities to it. And I mean, it's not like you're not dishing out plenty of money for the other Pokemon games. So not from Nintendo but on computer is also something called, I believe, Pokemon World Go or Pokemon World Online, something like that. It's basically a fan-made thing that connects Fire Red, Leaf Green, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald all together for you to play, and you can play it with friends. So that's pretty nice. It's got some cool things, and you can even actually have your Pokemon walking out beside you, just like in the Heart Gold, Soul Silver / Pokemon Yellow. So that's awesome. However, like everything that's, supposedly quotation marks free, there of course is stuff you can pay for within the game to make your experience more fun. But hey, idiots pay millions of dollars a year to fucking Candy Crush, so not like I can knock it too hard. So, speaking of Candy Crush, let's take Pokemon on to the to our cell phone or our mobile. Not just cell phone, but tablets too. On cell phone and tablets, you can actually download those emulators I was talking about and play ROM hacks, or even play the old Pokemon whenever you're just at work or something. It's a fun experience that's free, so why not? Also out for mobile is a few Pokemon games that actually come from Game Freak. There's Pokemon Shuffle, which is a Pokemon puzzle game with a little bit of RPG aspect to it. Not really, but enough that you could call it an RPG aspect. Pokemon Duel Links, which I actually haven't touched at all. From what I understand, it's something similar to the Pokemon trading figure game that came out long ago and is really just a giant cash grab, like most things on the phone. And then the best / worst thing you can do on your phone for Pokemon is Pokemon Go. It's a fun little experience that has a tendency to burn out fast, but if you end up going to another big city or something, you can start up your Pokemon Go and make the experience more excitable too. That's what I do. Anytime I go to a big city, I'll start up my Pokemon Go, catch a new Pokemon I'd never be able to catch at home, and also, get a bunch of Pokestops, so load up on Pokeballs for the next time I start playing Pokemon near home. Also, another game I, forgot to mention that isn't quite Pokemon, but Pokemon related rather, is, if you like fighting games, there's Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers have all featured Pokemon in some way or another. And they're pretty enjoyable games, especially if you got a lot of people to play with. However, this is all I'm going to talk about for this video of the Pokemon franchise. I hope it was enjoyable or helpful. Be sure to like and comment. Definitely feel free to subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourselves.